everybody. Now, as we've heard, he's dressed Beyoncé, Jennifer Lopez, Rihanna, Taylor Swift. Hailey Bieber has modelled in his catwalk shows. He's been awarded an OBE by the Queen of England. He's a judge on Germany's Next Top Model. He was Karl Lagerfeld's protégé, the head of knitwear at Chanel, the creative director of Givenchy, and we all know that Julien Macdonald's career is as glittering as his gowns. Welcome back to Dubai, Julien.
Thank you, Alison. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you here. So for those of us who haven't met before, I'm Alison Tay, and I've known Julien for over 20 years. I know all his secrets, and in the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover some of them too. Now, Julien, after studying fashion knitwear, you were discovered by Karl Lagerfeld, fresh from your graduation show at the Royal College of Art. Now, what was it about your talent that revealed to Karl that you would become one of the most iconic names in British fashion?
Well, I first met Karl at the Royal College of Art whilst I was a student. Karl actually came to the college and set a competition to design a working wardrobe for a typical Karl Lagerfeld customer. I was only 23 years old when I met Karl. I made two incredible lace dresses, which were a combination of Victorian lace and hand-knitted stitches. I started my career not like a lot of other people. I started designing knitwear. And for a boy at the time, not many boys did knitwear, especially with the kind of levels of sophistication that my knitwear was. When Karl saw my dresses, he fell in love with the dresses. And he said to me, "Young man, these are not Karl Lagerfeld, these are Chanel, but Chanel haute couture." I won the competition and I was whisked to Paris, and then my career started at a very, very young age. I became the knitwear designer for Chanel a year later and spent over 3.5 years working for one of the most prestigious and most luxurious brands in the world. And can I also say one of the most secretive brands in the world, because nobody really knows what goes behind on 29 Rue Cambon, which was the home of Mademoiselle Coco Chanel, which Karl was there for such a long time. So I actually designed the knitwear for Chanel. So at the time when I was there, it was quite funny, I was the only boy at Chanel. And when people say, "What do you mean, Julien?" Well, basically, Chanel at the time when Karl was there was surrounded by very aristocratic debutante young girls, all dressed head to toe in Chanel cashmere twin suits, little logo Chanel shoes, and there was little me knitting in the corner. At the time, I didn't really understand, the importance of my job and how that career would kind of portray really the rest of my career in fashion. But, I rose to the occasion, and Karl really taught me everything I knew about women, how to dress a woman. I spent almost every day with him. Karl is surrounded by about 10 people who are close to him. Nobody else can go near him. Otherwise, you get hit with his fan. And yet, the black glasses, they rarely come off his face either. But whilst I was at Chanel, I learned a lot. I designed the knitwear for the ready-to-wear collections and the haute couture collections. My claim to fame after when I left Chanel is basically I created something which was quite iconic with the brand and something which made Chanel a lot of money. It was almost, after about 2.5 years at Chanel, I designed something which was very, very special. I managed to translate the iconic tweed that the jackets were made of, and I translated them into a knitted stitch. A knitted stitch, which it was a stretch fabric, it was a stretch tweed. The season that was launched, it was the #1 selling item for Chanel. The stitches are patented, the techniques I did, and there's dark secretly how I did it. And then, it was my job then to actually have that knitted technique translated into garments. And so I rose to the occasion, I did it, I left on a high, And then basically I left Chanel, and then I set up my own label.
Wow, what a journey. Now, I hope you don't mind me reminding you about the time I asked you what your most memorable moment, well, one of your most memorable moments in fashion was, and you told me the story about Carl bringing you on the catwalk for the finale.
Yeah, oh God, I forgot about that. It was such a long time ago. So when I actually told Carl that I was actually leaving Chanel and I was going to set up my own label, just to show everybody that, his admiration for me and how much he believed in me, he actually, we were backstage at one of the shows, and then he said to me, "Come on, Julien, come with me." I said, "What do you mean, Carl?" And he said, "Come on, you're going to come down the runway with me." I said, "What, me?" And so basically, he brought me down the runway of one of his Paris shows, and he introduced me to the fashion world. And he wanted to show everybody kind of almost his admiration and his respect for me as a designer. So he introduced me to the fashion world, and as soon as that happened, everybody knew who I was.
I love that story. Now, you've spoken about your time at Chanel, and you were also creative director of Givenchy. Tell us more about the values and lessons that you learned about luxury that have stayed with you and you've absorbed into your brand to this day.
Yes, so I left Paris, I went back home to London, and then I set up my own label, Julien Macdonald. But I did it in complete contrast to the luxury lifestyle of Chanel and Karl Lagerfeld. So I set up my brand and I did something completely different. I made very sparkly, glamorous dresses, which quickly gained the attention of a lot of pop stars and musicians and actresses. After 2 years, I then had a mysterious phone call. I said, "Oh, Julien, we'd like to meet you in Paris." Who it was, I never knew. I got on a train, I got picked up by a black limousine, and I got escorted to Louis Vuitton headquarters. And I was a bit like, what is this? What is this? It was a secret meeting with the CEO of Givenchy, Marianne Tesler. But at the time, I didn't know actually what she did. I was interviewed, and then they kind of kept me then secretly in a hotel. I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody, make any phone calls, because the next day I had to meet a man that was probably going to change my life, that being Mr. Arnault, who was obviously the head of the most luxurious fashion brands in the world. So Mr. Arnault interviewed me. He asked me what I liked about fashion, what he liked about my brand. And basically, it was a bit of a kind of an inquisition, basically, to find out what I was like, the things I liked, the experience I'd gained, and, would I be a right fit for one of his brands? To my surprise, he said to me, "Young man, would you like to consider being the new creative director of Givenchy?" I was absolutely shocked. I really thought I was going there for a job at Pucci, where my clothes are much more flamboyant, colorful. And I was really, really shocked. I said, "Why do you want me to be the creative director of Givenchy?" He said, "Look, the house needs a new lease of life. It needs young energy. We've had John Galliano, Alexander McQueen has just left, and I'm looking for a new designer. And I believe in your talent and what you've created with your brand. It's brought my attention to you, and please, would you consider that role?" I said, "Well, please, can I think about it?" He said, "Oh, you have about 6 hours to say yes or no." and literally, that was it. I went back to the hotel, made a few phone calls. Shall I do it? Shan't I do it? Spoke to my lawyer, and he said, "Look, Julien, you'll be crazy if you don't do this. Nobody gets a chance, at the age of 28 to be the creative director of one of the biggest fashion houses in the world." But at that time, I wasn't really a fashion designer. I was still a knitwear designer, but I made sparkly, glitzy couture dresses. I didn't really have much experience about designing trousers, blouses, shirts, knitwear, of course, because I had all the experience. So basically, I went to Givenchy, and basically, I had to learn how to kind of design within a certain price range, the balance of a collection, and the boutiques. I had to design clothes that fitted a boutique. But my first role there was to design haute couture, which I loved. And, you know, I spent over 3.5 years at Givenchy, and I made Mr. Arnault a lot of money. I remember after the first year, every month I'd have to go to report to him and tell him what I was doing. And all he would actually look at is a graph of figures, basically, like how much money I was losing, how much money I was making. Was the graph going up? Was it going down? And after such a short time of a year, he said to me, "Young man, you know what? You're the only person that's made Givenchy do this." I said, "What do you mean, Mr. Arnault?" He said, Givenchy is profitable for the first time in over 15 years. Whatever you're doing, you can have whatever you want. And basically, what did I do, basically? I just cleaned up the bad business from the past, and I introduced a very successful leather goods range. I introduced a range of leather bags, because at the time, Givenchy didn't have an it bag, and Fendi had the baguette. You know, the bags in luxury fashion are the items that make the brand a lot of money, and something that any woman can buy into. So I introduced a leather goods range, and I launched a bag called the Pumpkin, which became the it bag of the season. So when I left, you know, I'd also learned a lot, but I had made Mr. Arnault a lot of money. They didn't really want me to leave. They did ask me, would I stay longer? But after 3 years of having absolute no life, because when you enter into a luxury brand like Givenchy, the working ethic is non-stop. You work night and day, and you all watch and you learn about the designers that have been in these luxury houses, how they get burnt out, the amount of work, the scheduling. Because not only do you have to design the ready-to-wear, the couture, oversee the leather goods, you have to do things like the shops, what's in the shops, and it's just so much work. You know, my day would start at 8, everybody would go home at 7, and then at 7 I would start designing till, you know, 3, 4 in the morning. So it was a constant chain of working. But what you learn so much in such a short amount of time. And the opportunities and the people you work with, the advertising, you know, you work with the best photographers in the world. There is no budget at any LVMH brand. You just do whatever you want to do.
Wow, I told you I was going to get all his secrets, didn't I? Now, describe the world of Julien Macdonald.
Well, the world that I kind of create basically is a world of magic, a world of suspense, a world of unique style and elegance, and unobtainable to most women. You know, my dresses are of a couture standard. You know, they're very, very expensive, Alison, as you know, but most importantly, they're worn by the biggest celebrities in the world, and obviously then purchased by some of the richest women in the world. And I like creating something that is special, that is magical, that is desirable, and that is totally unique. And in a world of luxury, this is what people want. They want something which is unobtainable. You know, the type of woman that wears my dress, you know, she's the star of the room. She is the party. Whether she's hosting a party for herself, whether it's her 20th birthday or 50th birthday, she wants to walk into the room and she wants everybody to gasp and say, "Wow, you look amazing. Where is that dress from?" And it's not going to be the dress that comes from Dolce, from Gucci, from Prada, from Versace. They want to wear something totally unique, something that nobody's ever seen. And they want people to say, "Wow, is that a Julien Macdonald dress?" And my clothes really are so special and desirable, you can't buy them. You have to come to my atelier in London. They're made to fit you, they couture. And I believe that I make dresses that really empower and make women feel so special.
Well, Beyoncé agrees with you. Beyoncé said that your clothes empower women to be confident and strong. Kim Kardashian loves your creations. And Taylor Swift says she has a whole new aura about herself when she wears Julien Macdonald. Now, what is it about your designs that draws such a loyal celebrity following? What's the secret?
Well, there isn't a secret. I think, over the years, people have always said to me, Julian, why do you dress so many stars? Why do all these incredible women get attracted to your brand? And I think it's because the clothes speak for themselves. The history I've had in fashion, my DNA, my experience, you can't buy the experience that I've gained over the many years of being a designer. So when you actually put on a Julien Macdonald dress, what makes Beyoncé come back to me so many times? What makes Kim Kardashian want to wear my clothes all the time? What makes these incredible stars, whether it's Mariah Carey, you name it, I more or less dress those stars. Because when they put on my clothes, they just feel so powerful, special. And they know, they always say, Julian, is this the only dress like this in the world? And I say, yeah, you are wearing the only dress in the world that looks like that. They want something that is so exclusive. And when a lot of women put my clothes on, it's quite funny over the years, but now I've got used to it. They actually start crying. And first of all, I would be like, are you okay? And they'd be like, Julian, you don't know how this makes me feel as a woman. In my mind, I have a dream of what I want to look like as a woman. But when I put your clothes on, those dreams, they come true. And it's quite an emotional experience for a woman that they just kind of like cry because they see their body in a different way. It's the way that I've made their body look. And it's almost like a dream comes true for them. And they are going somewhere super special, whether they're going to a red carpet event, a private party, and then when they get photographed, and then everybody says, "Oh wow, you looked amazing," they just love the clothes, and they always come back. And a lot of designers, a lot of big brands, they pay celebrities to wear these clothes. And with me, I've never paid a celebrity. And, they always come back and they say, Julian, will you make me a dress? Will you do me this? Will you do me that? And over the years, I've just built an incredible reputation with the women that I've dressed. I've got to meet them, and they just always come back because they just love what I do, and I love women, I love dressing women, and I know how to make a woman feel and look great.
Amazing. Well, I've got good news for everybody. You don't have to be a celebrity to explore the Julien Macdonald universe. What opportunities are there for lovers of the Julien Macdonald universe to get a slice of some of this stardust?
Well, Alison, I think a lot of people said to me, oh, why are you coming to, the retail summit? I thought, I'm coming because I'd like to obviously tell people who I am and what I do, and to tell people, well, what is the future for Julien Macdonald? What would you like to do next? And you know what? I'd really like to go back to my roots, Alison. It's one of those old stories. 25 years ago, I started as a knitwear designer. And I've always had a passion for knitwear. So I would really love to start, a new knitwear brand, which was just knitwear. And I've always talked to people about this. And people have said to me, oh, Julian, what is your competition? What do you mean a knitwear brand? And I say, to be honest with you, I don't actually have hardly any competition at all. Because basically, in knitwear, there's only really Missoni, which is very bright, very colorful, very kind of a summer knitwear brand. And there was Azadine Alaya and Hervé Lisée, but these brands have become quite old-fashioned. So just for me to start a knitwear brand, which was just all knitwear, knitted dresses, stretch dresses, cardigans, coats. I would love to do the kind of put the glamour and the kind of the stretch bodycon knitting into like a knitted brand. So just to do a brand which was just all Julien Macdonald knitwear would be so well, because nobody does it. It's crazy how, you know, the fashion world has changed in terms of dresses, trousers, suits. But in terms of knitwear, I'd have almost zero competition in the market. So if I brought out a range of knitwear, everybody would just go crazy because I hardly have any competition. So I would really love to do that.
And would you be making knitwear nighttime, or would it be day wear, or would it be the whole across the board?
I think I would like to do day and night. You know, because as you know, if you are a woman like yourself, Alison, you're traveling, you're busy. What's great about a knitted dress is that basically you can kind of like roll it up in your bag, put it in your bag, go somewhere, then all of a sudden you just take it out and you put it on, you get dressed, so you don't have to think about it. And as well, we live in a world, you know, where kind of, you know, the body popping of a woman's body is insane, you know. It's like, it doesn't matter what shape your body is at the moment. You can do anything goes in fashion. You know, the new kind of, you know, the BAM era is explored as a woman. The waist, the chest. But when you put a knitted piece on, it kind of hugs your body and it makes you feel amazing. And it's comfortable. You know, you can sit in a car, you can go to a red carpet, you can layer a knitwear piece, and, you know, it can be really, really functional. It can keep you cool, and it can enhance your body as well. And it kind of gives you a kind of a freedom, because knitwear stretches, and it can be so modern as well.
Well, we'll look forward to Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, and everybody else wearing these new collections. Well, Julien, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for joining us here in Dubai. Thank you to the Retail Summit for reuniting us. Thank you for joining us. And we hope you enjoyed the rest of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.